The innovating at Parallel Software continues. Welcome back to Techstination. I'm Fred Fishkin. Joining us from Parallels, a division of Corel, is Senior VP of Product Kamal Srinivasan. Hi, Kamal.
Thank you, Fred. Thanks for having me in this podcast.
Well, great to see you. Let's start out with a little background about Parallels, which for years now has made it easy, for one thing, to run Windows applications on Mac computers.
Yeah, that's definitely been very empowering for a lot of our users, right? Which is even today, like I used to be, even before joining Parallels, I used to be a Parallels customer for many years because I was on a Mac and running the Parallels gave me productivity of not having to carry two devices, right? And more than anything, like when I had the need for a software and it was only available on Windows or maybe optimized for Windows, it gave the ability for me to quickly not have to worry about like, oh, I'm on a Mac. Let me try it when I get back somewhere. But instead, I can just install and run it as if I'm running a native Windows machine.
Terrific. And one of the key advantages, I think, is, correct me if I'm wrong, you have access to both Mac OS and Windows at the same time.
Correct. So one of the things that shifted post like over the last 5 or 6 years, we've been shipping this capability where like there's this mode called coherence, which means like you see a Windows application natively pinned to the dock, natively pinned to the desktop, just as if it was a Mac OS application. So the user does not feel like they're switching between two operating systems, but the experience is very seamless that I'm in a Mac. Let me experience, and I'm used to all these Mac controls. I can do that. My work keyboard is now mapped the same way. My mouse, my every single peripheral device that I might connect to, right? I'm operating the same way as if I'm on a Mac OS. I'm not switching from one different interface to a different interface and then like having to deal with this bipolar operating system disorder.
Bipolar. I love the phrase. What are some of the key kinds of things that it enables? What do you hear from your users?
Yeah, definitely. One of the big things is that like when somebody's running parallels, they're running for the application that they want to access, right? Like that happens to be a Windows application, right? There happens to be sometimes there are also users who can run. We enable parallels to run any operating system on top of macOS. That could be a macOS on macOS, right? There could be a Windows on macOS. There could be a Linux on macOS. So all those capabilities exist for running a different application, which is not available in my current macOS, that I can run on top of this Mac device I've got, right? So about like 4 or 5 years ago, when M series got introduced, we allowed this capability to, we got authorized, of course, by Windows and Microsoft to be the only solution that is allowed to run on the M series as an authorized solution. So this happened in 2022, so which means Windows is authorized solution to be run on the M series Mac today, right? And we are the only solution to be able to do that. Today, you don't have a capability to run Boot Camp. Yeah. So Boot Camp is now deprecated. And some of the other open source solutions out there don't run any application and they're not optimized to run, like, let's say, GPU based applications also. So that's one of the big advantages of Parallels is that, like, allowing those end users to run any operating system and run their application. So we have some users who have a certain application that only worked in a previous version of macOS and never got updated, right? APIs change for newer versions of macOS. Maybe it's a game, maybe it's something else, right? And that also allows you to run a macOS on top of a macOS because your application never caught up with the macOS updates. We have a lot of gamers from Windows, from other operating systems that like they want to like just game, right? I'm using this PC or sorry, this Mac for my productivity on a daily basis. I'm a developer, I'm a knowledge worker, I'm traveling. I have this Mac OS device that I'm walking around, but I want to still game, right? Those games that I have from the years past, which happens to be a Windows game that I'm very attached to, and like I want to game in the evenings. You can do so with parallels, right? That's a popular use case where like somebody who uses it for productivity with their Mac also does gaming through the capability of running Windows on top of macOS.
And the innovations don't stop there. I've been a fan of Parallels Toolbox for years. So give us an overview. It can do so many things, and it's available for Windows and Macs. Tell us about it.
Yeah, like Panel's Toolbox is almost a list of productivity tools, right? Over time, we've noticed like, hey, there are certain capabilities that the end users want, right? Like I'm a consumer, I want to keep like we were talking about this gaming use case. I want to set a time, right? That says like, hey, after such and such a time, I want to get away from this and get back to productivity. I can set such timers and like things like that within that using the toolbox. It's a productivity tool which allows me to time box what I'm doing. I can do like a bunch of tools related to audio and video, like capturing area, recording screen, right? Or downloading video, or like some other productivity tools on systems related things, which is like many times you want to free up memory, right? Like or uninstall apps. It gives you a single place where you can go and do things related to your productivity from like managing your time, things related to productivity like audio video capturing, or like these kind of like system related stuff like freeing up my resources, uninstalling apps. And there are things also like, hey, I'm going to a presentation mode, do not disturb for any app, right? Instead of setting it in different places, you have an ability to say, go into presentation mode, do not disturb, right? I can do that. So those are the kind of things we allow through the toolbox, which enables you to run this on a Mac. So it's a toolbox that runs on my Mac, and it's packaged typically with the PD panels desktop SKU in certain cases. So it allows end users to be able to go into this toolbox, get these capabilities out of the box.
Really terrific. And as we said, it's available for Mac and Windows. You can do things like resizing images or as you said, capture videos or record audio. So many different things that you can do with it. There's a free trial and then there's a subscription. Tell us about it.
So for the panels desktop itself, so there is a free trial that you can download and try out panels desktop. And of course, there is Toolbox comes as a free trial too. It's available there for the end users to go try it out and like see how and what tools you seem to be interested in. And the whole point of this balanced desktop or toolbox is to simplify the usage or the purchasing decision, right? So there's not too many options for you. If you purchase a certain like SKU, we want to make it simple for you to like have to go look at the different options between like, hey, which SKU is going to be appropriate for you, and pick that SKU and like purchase, and then you get the entire suite, right? Now we've introduced more and more capabilities for developers also, right? Like, so if you purchase a PD Pro SKU or a PD business SKU, you have capability for like if you're a developer, a bunch of tools that is integrated into Visual Studio Code, right? As a everyone is trying out different. Everyone is coding is becoming democratized. So if you want to really try out some of these capabilities as to what Parallels can enable you for you as a developer, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or an pro developer, try out Parallels Desktop, and there are a bunch of capabilities that like we allow you to manage and run these developer tools.
And if you're talking about Toolbox, I think the subscription runs about $20 a year per machine.
Correct. Correct.
Terrific. There's not a multi computer subscription available, I don't think, for it. Is there?
No, we don't do multi-device subscription.
Terrific. So what's next? I mean, you're doing so much, and so much is changing in the world of software. AI and everything else. Tell us what's to come, whatever you can tell us.
Absolutely. We've definitely started adding a lot of the things. We spoke about the developer, right? Everybody's becoming a developer. This it's almost like coding is getting democratized with this whole AI innovations that's happening, right? And we want to make it easier to go from where they are saying like, "Hey, there's a bunch of capabilities. How do I do it?" Right? To be able to enabling AI in like whether you're building a simple app that is a to-do list or a much more involved application that you have already and like you want to like build on top of it. So we are enabling more AI tools to be packaged within Balance Desktop that somebody, if I'm a developer, whether as I said, beginner or all the way to expert, I can take a Balance Desktop today, be able to run a bunch of AI stacks that comes out of the box and be productive on day one, right? That is one thing that like we're doing very fast, as fast as we can keep up with the innovations. And the second thing we're doing is we continue to be keeping up with pace with what Mac is doing, which is we're an authorized capability of running Windows on M series, right? M1, M2, M3s. Now with the recent M4 updates, we are enabling Windows to be run on M4s too, which should be announced very soon. So that is another thing which we keep up with the innovation of what M series is doing, which means that like all the hardware updates now you can take and leverage through the Balance Desktop onto some of your Windows. So, which means you can actually bring the other way, right? Which is you have some of the Copilot plus PC innovation that's happening and Windows updates that's happening for some of your tools. You can bring it into actually your Mac. And you can also do the other way, which is you can take some of this, what's happening with Mac, with Apple Intelligence and those kind of things, and you can take it to your application within the Windows ecosystem. With Copilot becoming very popular, we are actually looking at how to enable Copilot to run on the Mac, right? There's Copilot for Mac, but this allows you to not have to go do the Copilot for Mac, but take your Windows Copilot and be able to use and leverage within the Mac ecosystem.
Well, fascinating. Where can people go for more information and to buy?
Parallels.com is the best resource to keep up with how to buy, how to try, and also all the updates that we have.
Terrific. Parallels.com again is the site. Kamal Srinivasan, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Fred, for having me.